Will you cuddle me if I pay you? So let me get into my story. I've been lonely most of my school time because I've had zero best friends growing up and part-time friends during college. Part-time friends in the sense 1 or 2 years will be friends and then it gets detached and you have to go find somebody new. You know, that just there was this transition period for friendships. But let me tell you, loneliness is not about how many best friends you have or how many people you're surrounded with. It means you have people or you don't, it doesn't matter, but you don't have the right kind of people that you want to vibe with, Gen Z term, that you don't really feel they are your person, you know? Like for example, if you have hit this low point in your life and you just want to take up your phone and call somebody, and then you do that. You take your phone, you dial the number, you just talk for hours and hours and you put the phone down. But once you put the phone down, you don't feel that sort of satisfaction, let's just say, that I had a great conversation with that person. But you don't just seem to be fulfilled. You don't feel like, okay, now I feel light, you know. When you don't get that kind of a feel from a people, maybe that's time that they're not your best friends anymore. But it is normal, it's normal to feel lonely. When it happens more and more and more and more with everybody you meet and you still can't get them or they don't get you, there's no free flow of connection, you and I can reach this point called saturation. No air quotes, saturation. So even I reached my saturation point, but I stopped trying, you know, I stopped trying. I'm not gonna waste my time anymore finding new people. I'm just gonna settle with myself. I am my own best friend. Trust me, I like myself. But that's not the way to go about it. Please don't do my mistake. Don't think that I just need me. I don't need anybody else. I'm alone and happy, yada yada yada. Don't do that. Because what I'm gonna say from now is gonna shock you. According to a research on human body perspective, being lonely equals smoking 15 packs of cigarettes. Right? At least smoking cigarettes can make you feel good for a while and then it ends up killing you. But loneliness only does the killing, then why have we become a slave to it? Now, without waiting anything, I'll give you the shocker itself. We have heard, right? Ministers, prime ministers, chief ministers, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education. But have you heard ministers for loneliness? Weird, right? But it's there. Countries like United Kingdom and Japan have appointed ministers for loneliness. And why have they taken this decision? Japan appointed a minister of loneliness after the country's suicide rate went up for the first time in 11 years. Japan's suicide rate rose in 2020 with 20,919 people taking their lives according to the data by the National Police Agency. So most experts believe that the problem of escalating suicides in Japan is tied to the country's culture of loneliness. Japan's aging population, over 20% of the country's population is more than 65 years old, which is the highest proportion for the category in the world, has created a huge section of middle-aged and older people who feel they have no one to turn to for help and company. Aging has been one of the major reasons in Japan for the increase in the suicide, so the minister was appointed. So it makes sense, right? There is no sort of social connection between old age people. What about the younger generation? The Gen Z I'm talking about. Since Gen Z are active social media users, right? They have Instagram, Snapchat, Tinder, Bumble, Facebook. But do you know the most loneliest generation in the world are the Gen Z? It doesn't matter if you have a huge following or a lot of people online to talk to chat, but it never equals the warmth, the belongingness, the presence of being somebody sitting next to you and holding your hand and talking to them and having this. You're wondering, why is she making a big deal out of loneliness? Everybody feels lonely. Right, loneliness has gotten so much out of our hand right now. Loneliness is not just an emotion, it's now a public health concern. The world has progressed so much. Now we pay money for affection. Now we pay money for emotions as well. There used to be a time I used to say, right, money can't buy happiness, money can't buy emotion. But guess what? Money can do that as well. Now let me talk about the rise of care for cash industry. What is care for cash industry? Okay, listen to me. Will you cuddle me if I pay you? Will you be my boyfriend? I'll pay you. Will you be my best friend? And I will pay you for that as well. So weird, right? What is she talking about? It feels so creepy. Not so creepy. Tokyo is the most loneliest city in the world, and Tokyo has 8 agencies that does this service, where you can rent cuddles, you can rent a best friend, boyfriend, girlfriend, you can even rent an entire family. I feel so sad, man, that we have reached such a low point in our life that we have to pay to avail basic connection from people. But if you look closely into this industry, people are paying money to avail emotional services because they lack in the first place, and they're trying out so much in the world, they cannot find that sort of a deep connection. Imagine a scenario where I go to that service, I call up and I say I want a friend, and I'm paying that friend, and I'm talking to her like this was my day, and I had this bad day, and blah blah blah. I'm genuinely expressing my emotions to her, but deep down I also know she's listening to me because of the money that I pay her. Don't you think the care for money industry does solve the problem of loneliness and having somebody who can listen to you? But if you deeply think about this, they're doing this for the money kind of defeats the purpose, right? Deep down, even how much ever emotionally I share things to you, I know it's because of the money, and that doesn't make that person feel sad about it as well. But anyway, this only proves how much of a social animal we are for physical touch, connection, and having really someone who can understand us, who we can talk to, who can listen to us. Technology and loneliness. So how technology has really helped combat loneliness. There's this Israeli startup company called Intuit Robotics that came up with a robot called Ellie. Ellie is a tall white table light with a face looking like an orb. And here are some of the customer testimonials that have used Ellie. She makes me feel like I'm important. She cares about me and makes sure I'm doing okay. The longer I have LEQ, the more in tune she becomes with me. She is, in fact, a companion. It can be a little lonely when you live by yourself, but having LEQ here, it's like having someone in the house that can help you with different things. Okay, what did you think about this girl? Is she cute? So this blue-haired 16-year-old girl named Hatsune Miku, people are using her to combat loneliness as well. Let me tell you how. There are people out there buying her for $2,800 plus monthly fees to have her as an at-home girlfriend. Basically, Hatsune Miku comes in a black orb. Since people are obsessed with anime, she's an anime character which you can keep at home and you can talk to her and it talks back. And this doesn't stop here. Let me also talk about this guy called Drew Ackman. He started the Sleep With Me podcast.
Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's almost time for me to slow it down and get sleepy while I talk about the Soul Squad on Sleep With Me.
He started this podcast for people who are insomniacs, who were not able to sleep, and slowly he saw the people who are actually listening to his podcast were trying to feel less lonely, especially when you're sleeping in the middle of the night, you feel alone and lonely, and people started to tune on his podcast to feel connected, to feel as if some companion is out there who's also, healing me, talking to me, and telling me bedtime stories about it. So people are looking up online to find community, TikTokers, YouTubers, Instagrammers, while they eat, while they're trying to sleep, as if they are their companion. They're virtually trying to include them into their life to feel less lonely, to feel less alone. Whatever we saw up till now, that technology being a good helper to get rid of loneliness, of course technology can be a temporary friend to get rid of loneliness, but I am scared that one day the world shouldn't change in a way that technology takes over the real connection of human beings. Curing loneliness is a long shot, and I am trying my best to bring people together through this a platform. That's the only reason that I started this. So if you are going to take away anything from this video, it should be that never replace human beings with technology. If there is anything that you wanted to do it with somebody else, do it together. Loneliness is a very real thing and it's a big deal. There are some people out there who are trying to make a business out of it. Maybe their vision is real, they wanted to bring people together and people feeling connected with one another through technology or through services, etc. Virtual life is not real life, so do reach out to people in real life, talk to them. If there's been a long distance or gap between your friendships, relationships, you make the call, go meet them and try to make new friends if you think whatever you have right now is not fulfilling you. So please never reach that saturation point of saying I don't want anybody. Reach out as much as you can and never feel weak about it. Being vulnerable is the most bravest thing. Take that first step, talk to people. You never know, even they could be going through the very same thing that you've been going through, and that could be a one huge source of connection, and you can talk to them and you can become friends, and one thing might lead to another and you will find each other for each other. So yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.